Hey guys, this is Matt from Man Behind the Mirror. This is our first video on male pattern baldness. If you're losing your hair, we know it can be a really traumatic and lonely experience, so we try to make it easy for you by providing an overview of what male pattern baldness is, a bit of information around the science behind it, but most importantly an overview of what treatments are available and that work. So if you've got male pattern baldness, you've got a particular sensitivity to a hormone produced in the body called DHT. It's a genetic condition, so some guys unfortunately are just more sensitive to the DHT in their hair follicles. It's a very common condition though, so 8 million men in the UK suffer from male pattern baldness, 40% of guys get it by the age of 35, but there's hope. So there are treatments that are out there that are available and that work. I'll talk more around the treatments in a bit. In the meantime, let's talk around the science. So I've got a whiteboard here, so let's use that. So male pattern baldness is down to a hormone called DHT that's produced in the body. So your body converts DHT from testosterone, and there's an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase that triggers this conversion process. And it's the DHT that's sort of swimming around in your body that affects the hairline and causes male pattern baldness. Now, there are different genetic variables that can influence male pattern baldness. Some guys may produce more testosterone, and all else equal, that will produce more DHT. Some guys produce more 5-alpha reductase enzymes, meaning more of the testosterone is converted into DHT. And some guys have hair follicles that are just more particularly sensitive to the DHT levels. So there's different genetic variables that can influence male pattern baldness, but the bottom line is it's caused by the effect that DHT has on the hair follicles. So to understand how DHT affects the hairline of guys that got male pattern baldness, it's best to talk through the life cycle of a typical healthy functioning hair. So it all goes in cycles, so your hair's going to grow, eventually it's going to shed, and then it's going to be replaced by a new hair. The first phase is called anagen. It lasts for 2 to 7 years. At any one point in your head, around 85% of your hair is going to be an anagen, and it's the growth phase. So it's where your hair is connected to the blood supply, it's getting all the oxygen it needs to grow strong, healthy, thick hair, and it usually lasts for between 2 to 7 years. At some point, your body's going to send a signal to that hair to stop the growth period, to stop growing, and at that stage your hair is going to sort of separate from the blood supply, it's going to decouple. And this stage here where it's decoupling is called catagen, and it lasts for a couple of weeks, and the end stage of that is something called telogen, and this is where your hair is now decoupled, it's no longer connected to the blood supply. For all intents and purposes it's dead, and you may notice this is when hair starts shedding. So if you're taking showers, if you're brushing your hair, you may notice hair's coming out. Generally they're going to be hairs that are in the telogen phase, so there's nothing to worry about. This lasts for about 5 to 6 weeks, so the hair is going to gradually sort of shed naturally after a 5 to 6 week period, and it's making way for new hair to grow. So the anagen phase then grows and the cycle kicks off again. What happens with DHT is it's affecting that life cycle of the hair over time. So across each cycle, the life cycle is shortening, and the anagen phase in particular is shortening. Now this is a problem because the anagen phase is the growth phase, and it's where your hair is getting thick and it's getting strong and it's growing. So when the DHT is shortening this life cycle, it means anagen is setting in way earlier than it otherwise would. So when you do a close-up of someone that's starting to lose the hair and has got sort of balding spots, what you'll notice at the beginning is actually the hairs are still there. They've got just as many hairs as they had before often, but those hairs are way thinner, so they're not noticeable. You can tell that someone doesn't have a normal hairline. Gradually over time, the DHT is going to have that effect on the hairline where it's shrinking and shrinking, and the anagen phase is going to stop and catagen is going to set in before the hairs even have the chance to reach the skin. So it's all growing and shedding and reproducing another hairline beneath the actual scalp level, and that's when you really notice the balding. So that's the science behind male pattern baldness, but what about the treatments that are available? So there are actually 2 clinically proven treatments for male pattern baldness in the world. The first one I'm going to talk to you about is Finasteride. So Finasteride is a tablet that you take once a day, and what it does is it targets the problem male pattern baldness at source, because it's preventing the body from converting testosterone into DHT. It does that by inhibiting the enzyme 5-alpha reductase that triggers that conversion process. Without the DHT swimming around your body, your hair is suddenly unaffected by the DHT levels and you're going to start growing your hair again. Not only should it stop your hair loss from stalling, but you should actually regrow some of the hairs you lost as well. It's gone through loads of different clinical studies. It's highly effective. It works in 90% of men. So definitely recommend you check that out. The next treatment we're going to talk about is Minoxidil. So Minoxidil is a topical spray that you can apply morning and evening, and you'll put a few sprays into the area of your hairline where you're starting to bald. So if I was losing some hair at the temple, put a few sprays here, and what's happening is beneath the hairline it's widening the blood vessels, so it's providing way more oxygen and nutrients for the hair to grow, and by providing this additional fuel it's offsetting the negative impact of the DHT, enabling the hair to grow. Interestingly with Minoxidil, what you'll find in the first few weeks is you may lose a few hairs in the areas where you're applying it. That is a good thing, because what's happening is the weaker, thinner hair is making way for the new, strong, healthy hair to grow. So it's a good sign, don't worry about it. It's gone through loads of different clinical studies, so it's similar to Finasteride because it's a prescription treatment. It's been subject to a lot of regulation and it is highly effective. So it works in 2/3 of men. Not only should it actually stop hair loss, but you should actually regrow some of the hairs that you've lost as well. So again, definitely worth checking out. The third product we're going to discuss is Anti-DHT shampoos. So Finasteride and Minoxidil are the two clinically proven treatments that are out there for male pattern baldness, but Anti-DHT shampoos are again an alternative or a good complement for those treatments, but it really comes down to the ingredients. So you should check what ingredients are on any shampoo before you purchase it. At Man Behind the Mirror, we use an ingredient called Sephora Flavescence. So that's gone through studies where it's been shown when it's topically applied, as you would with a shampoo, it can reduce DHT levels and help to combat male pattern baldness. Other ingredients that are effective are saw palmetto or ketoconazole. So check the ingredients, but anti-DHT shampoos are definitely worth a shout. The final sort of product that we're going to be looking at is Biotin gummies. So with Biotin vitamins, they're usually provided either in a tablet format or gummy format. So we provide ours as a gummy because it tastes really nice and you get all the benefits as well. The reason biotin is important is because biotin supports the infrastructure of keratin. And keratin is a protein that's the building block for head hair, beard hair and skin. By making sure you're getting all the biotin you need in your body, you're making sure you're giving your body the fuel it needs to develop strong, healthy hair. That said, the leading cause of male pattern baldness is DHT. Biotin by itself doesn't have anti-DHT properties, so it's more a complement to the other products, and it's more making sure that you're covering all bases by making sure from a nutritional perspective you're giving your body what it needs to grow strong hair. So I hope you found this first video useful and interesting. We're going to be doing a series of videos on hair loss. The next one is going to be on Finasteride and Minoxidil. We're going to drill down more into the studies behind each product, how effective is it, what side effects are out there, and really give you all you need to know to make a decision on whether you want to pursue that treatment. So I'm co-founder of Man Behind the Mirror, so we're a health and wellness platform where you can go to get education and treatments around hair loss, erectile dysfunction and teeth whitening. So if you're interested in any of that, please check out our website, manbehindthemirror.co.uk. Otherwise, please subscribe and I will see you soon.